Space.
The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
Once upon a time, there was a surprise hit by the name of Tales of Phantasia. Though it's really only a surprise when you look at some of the absolute garbage the developer Wolf Team had put out prior to it. And you can bet your ass that we'll be going down that rabbit hole whenever I get around to Tales of Phantasia. But more relevant to today's video than the impetus of Namco's cash cow RPG franchise sharing a developer with Ernest Evans is how Tales of Phantasia's development inadvertently spawned a rival franchise. Frustrated by interference from the higher-ups at both Namco and Telenet Japan, Wolf Team's parent company, the trio of Yoshiharu Gotanda, Masaki Norimoto, and Joe Asanuma led an exodus of staffers to the newly founded Tri-Ace. Their first task being the creation of an RPG that would be bigger and better than Tales of Phantasia in every way.
With blackjack and hookers!
The end result being 1996's Star Ocean for the Super Famicom. A game which wouldn't see an official Western release until 2008 with its PSP remake First Departure. No, on this side of the Pacific, our first exposure to the series came with Star Ocean: The Second Story. And for some reason they kept the subtitle in the English version. Though I suppose it's better than always having to clarify which Final Fantasy III you're talking about. Now I could spin some bullshit about how the second story being the first to come out in the West is the reason I'm starting here, but the truth is this started off as a video about the first game. I even got all the way to the Van continent and reunited with Millie before it hit me that I just wasn't having that much fun. It's not a bad game by any stretch, but the First Departure wasn't really drawing me in. Seeing as how I was struggling to get my mixed feelings on Brutal Legends sorted out into a half-decent script at the time, I wasn't exactly keen on likely having 2 videos in a row about games I'm not all that enthusiastic about. Then it hit me that I was only talking about the first game in order to get to the second game and its shiny new ish remake. So I called an audible and went straight for what I wanted to play in the first place. Turns out that games are a lot more fun when you actually want to play them. Huh. Who knew? Star Ocean: The Second Story R is, despite the name, not a remake of the 1998 PS1 title, but rather a remake of Star Ocean's Second Evolution, the 2008 PSP remaster of The Second Story. That's right, it's been long enough that we're remaking remasters now. Don't suppose anyone's got a Popolo Croy remake in 'em? No, of course not. Square Enix will give us a proper fucking Final Fantasy with active time battle again before Sony ever bothers with any of the RPGs they published back in the day. Speaking of good ol' Squeenix, today's game is part of their recent HD-2D push that's also seen us finally get an official release for Live Alive in the West, and, for some reason, Dragon Quest III before the first 2 games. I have a lot of problems with Square and how they've treated many of their series.
Is anybody up there? I'm getting hungry!
But there's no denying that they've been on an absolute tear with these HD-2D games as of late. Whoever suggested that they should start remaking their old games in the Octopath Traveler aesthetic is an absolute genius who should be in charge of the whole damn company if you ask me.
I'll have to give myself a promotion!
Like its brethren, development on Second Story R was outsourced to another studio, in this case Gemdrops Inc. I wasn't able to find out much about the company itself outside it having been founded by former Tri-Ace employee Yuichiro Kitao, who didn't work on the Star Ocean series until the third game, till the end of time. He was, however, one of the 2 battle system programmers on Valkyrie Profile, and if you've played it too, then you know how damn good the battle system is there. So there's definitely talent and experience right at the top of this company. Right out the gate, we're given a rare sight in console RPGs without Saga in the title. The ability to choose who we want as our protagonist. Our 2 choices being Claude C. Kenny, the son of Star Ocean 1 party members Ronix and certified best girl Elia, and Rena Lanford, who is completely unrelated to the first game's cast. Well, it seems pretty obvious who they would consider the real protagonist. So let's go with Rena. Her surname doesn't trigger my Gamera flashbacks.
Kenny? Kenny?
Kenny! 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 Kenny!
Kenny?
Kenny!
Kenny?
Thanks, Heisei Gamera!
Everybody gets 1.
This being my first experience with Star Ocean 2 in any form outside of Let's Plays, I assumed at first that the choice of protagonist would be mostly cosmetic with maybe a couple minor changes here and there. But no, credit to the ambitious bastards at Tri-Ace. They went out and gave both Rena and Claude unique openings, exclusive side stories, whole-ass sections of the story you'll only see when playing as them, and in the case of Rena, an exclusive recruit. I hate Diaz and his edgy loner bit so much, but damn if he ain't good in a fight. It's still the same plot overall, but these moments really do add up in a way that ensures your chosen character genuinely feels like the lead. Now, let me set the scene. Rena Lanford is a young girl from the peaceful little hamlet of Arlia, the sort of place where nothing interesting ever happens and outsiders are seldom seen. Basically, it's anywhere in Wyoming without the 80-mile-an-hour wind. Today, though, that peace is broken when Rena, on her usual stroll through the sacred forest, is attacked by a monster. But just as it seems she's doomed to become troll chow, a mysterious stranger leaps in front of her and slays the monster in a bright flash of light.
Whew. Good thing I made it in time.
Oh god, he's voiced by Spike Spencer. I picked the English dub to annoy a friend of mine who watches these videos, but it didn't occur to me that I'd be spending 30 hours with Shinji Ikari. No, I can do this. I mustn't run away. I mustn't run. Son of a bitch, he's already got me doing it. Enter Claude C. Kenny, an ensign in the Pan-Galactic Federation and certified Nepo baby, who finds himself trapped on this primitive planet after a mishap with an ancient transporter. And now, thanks to having used his phase gun to save Rena, she and the other locals now believe him to be the hero of light come to save the land. This is why we have the Prime Directive, Claude.
That probably violated the Underdeveloped Planet Preservation Pact.
Look, call it whatever you want, buddy boy, that's a Prime Directive if I've ever seen one. Refusing to take, "I'm not the hero of light," for an answer, the mayor exposits about the calamities which have befallen the world of Expel ever since the sorcery globe first impacted the continent of El, a meteor made of an unknown material and possessed of a strange magical energy. The sorcery globe is responsible for the hordes of monsters running rampant across the world, and if nothing is done about it, Expel itself may be looking at the end times. Initially, Claude is reluctant to go, and Rena is bummed that she's now the girl who cried Hero of Light. But following a kidnapping by Alan, a suitor of Rena's driven mad by just a small piece of the sorcery globe, our heroes find the resolve to set out and investigate the meteor. That kidnapping is also one of the first examples of the divergences in each character's story, getting to either experience Claude's rescue attempt, or Rena's college try at unkidnapping herself.
Those bitches on Lifetime might put up with it, but not me!
The subsequent boss fight with the transformed Alan is a little harder as Rena than Claude because in Rena's version of the fight, Claude doesn't join the party until this fight and he starts off at level 1, so he will get absolutely bodied if you let the AI control him in this fight. You're not exactly beating the Shinji comparisons right now, Claude. From this point, the game starts to open up and you begin to see just how much Star Ocean 2 has to offer. Even more so when it comes to Second Story R. There are enough systems and mechanics in Star Ocean that it can be almost overwhelming at first. So let's start with combat and go from there. If you're familiar with the Tales series, or at least the older games, I haven't played one since Tales of Hearts, then you should feel right at home with Star Ocean's battle system. Encounters play out in an action stage reminiscent of a classic beat-em-up, but with only one normal attack and far less struggle in figuring out if your character is on the same plane as the enemy thanks to a very solid targeting system. It's automatic for the most part, but you can still manually select your target if needed. Just try to avoid the impulse to move the left stick when pressing attack, otherwise it might auto-target a closer enemy. Alongside their normal attack, each party member gets access to a host of special attacks or spells, both of which can be assigned to either the top left or top right shoulder buttons. For the fighters, the specials you assign will be the only ones they can use in battle, while mages retain access to their entire spell book with shoulder button assignments functioning more like hotkeys. Considering that melee characters become massive damage dealers with their normal combos in no time, it seems like a fair trade-off. And where that would be where the core of combat in Star Ocean 2 ends in previous versions, Second Story R adds new aspects which take it from, yeah, it's pretty fun, to, holy shit, I cannot put this game down. These aspects being enemy shields, the bonus gauge, a dodge button, and assault actions, all of which feed into each other. Enemies now have 4 shields above their health bar, and once they're broken, that enemy's resistances and defense drop hard. Now if you dodge an attack at the right moment, you'll perform a counterattack guaranteed to take out 1 shield, This is incredibly useful early on before you gain access to specials designed to inflict break damage. Breaking an enemy's shields also provides extra bonus orbs, which are needed to increase the bonus gauge. And which bonuses you gain as the gauge fills depends on your chosen formation. Just keep in mind that enemies can also inflict break damage to you, and there goes your bonus. Finally, we've got assault actions. These allow members not currently active in the party, or cameos from other games in the series, to pop into battle for a second and use a special art or spell. And while the cameo character's attacks are preset, the rest can be assigned manually. These additions tie together so naturally with the original mechanics that I was kinda surprised to find out that they were new. For instance, formations themselves aren't new, they were present in the first game as well, but now they all have their own tangible gameplay benefits. And we're only scratching the surface of the enhancements provided by Second Story R. Perhaps the most unique aspect of Star Ocean is its extensive skill system. Beyond the usual RPG stats, you have a host of skills, and I mean like actual skills in fields of study, which provide various bonuses to a character. I don't exactly know how a knack for technology makes you swing a sword better, but hey, this is a genre where killing enough things can make you powerful enough to fight God. Quite literally in the case of several Shin Megami Tensei games. Build up enough of these skills with the skill points you earn on a level up, and you can unlock specialties which allow your party to do things like call a bird to go shopping for them, play music, or even craft their own equipment. There's super specialties as well, which unlock once multiple party members reach a specific level in the related normal specialties. And just when you're starting to think about how much grinding you're gonna have to do, the game throws in character-specific talents, which buff their success ratings with related specialties, some of which are hidden at first and need to be unlocked by repeatedly doing said related specialties. The character in question will also gain a bonus 100 skill points upon discovering a hidden talent, so there's even more incentive to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and confirm your suspicions that this is one of the main reasons that the first Star Ocean didn't click with me. My patience was extremely tested by the mind-numbing task of crafting the same thing over and over again until I ran out of materials and had to go buy more, because this game was made by sadists who set the max amount of any item to 20. To make it all the more irritating, there's no way to know what hidden talents a character has without consulting a guide. Then you have the pointless need to buy skill books across the world in order to put levels into that skill in the first place. I just about screamed when, after spending 2 hours grinding, I made it to Van and found out about the effort skill, which lowers the XP needed to level up. If you're not going to let me upgrade it initially, okay, but at least have it there as a grayed out option so I know in advance to save some skill points. From what I can tell, the original version of Second Story is much the same in this regard, and so, while I probably still would have enjoyed it more than the first one because I like the cast here better, I would just like to convey how deeply I appreciate Second Story R streamlining this process. Not only does it show you which talents a character still has yet to unlock, not only does it give you access to every skill at once, not only does it allow you to craft more than one item at a time, but it also moves battle skills into their own section with a separate battle points system to spend on them, as well as upgrades to special arts. Has helpful reminders about skill requirements for specialties on both the skill and specialty screens. Highlights which material will provide a unique weapon when using customization. And, just for good measure, it gives you bonus skill and battle points at the end of every battle. In my opinion, as if the rest of this video isn't also that, this expertly trims the fat and really helps the old game shine like new again. Further helped along by replacing random encounters with visible enemy clouds. Okay, the design's a little strange, but it gets the point across. Now I know exactly where they are and can engage or avoid at my own discretion. Huh, I wonder what that red line connecting those different encounters means.
We got enemies.
Here they come.
Oh, multiple rounds. Okay, that's pretty neat. Wait, is that an experience multiplier? I wonder if it stacks with the other XP bonuses.
8 hours later.
Holy shit, does it ever! And here we see the true fun of this game. The ability to break it wide the fuck open without a single glitch or exploit in sight. Use scouting to cause encounters to spawn more frequently. Turn the train specialty on for your whole party to increase the amount of experience they gain individually at the cost of some attack and magic power. And if you've got one, set a formation that increases the total experience earned. Then all you have to do is kite enough encounters together to max out the experience multiplier and just watch the level ups pile on. This grinding method was so effective and the combat so fun that I wound up over-leveled for the final dungeon. It was. Gem Drops even thought to make up for the gameplay hours shaved off by lessening the grind and added in guild missions, challenges, and a brand new fishing minigame. These all offer extra rewards to further push you along your quest to become an ass-kicker extraordinaire. Sorcery Globe. Oh yeah, I was so busy having fun power leveling that I completely forgot about the story. Words I never thought I'd say in a million years. But with all this praise, and more yet to come, I should point out one thing that I'd imagine is divisive even outside of retro purist circles. That being how objectives, side missions, and private actions are pointed out on both the map and fast travel screen. Also probably fast travel's existence in general. As someone who has to get through games fairly quickly for the sake of his not quite a job, this touch was quite a relief. However, I know there are plenty of people out there who would find that this ruins the fun of exploration. And I don't really have a counterpoint to that, because it kind of does. It really just comes down to if that fact bothers you or not. If it does bug you, the most you can do is turn the minimap off by pressing start. The icons will still show up on the main map and when you fast travel, but it's something. In general though, I love how naturally second story art augments the gameplay that was already present while simultaneously cutting out much of the busy work. It's a damn near perfect example of what I want to see from remasters and remakes alike. Take a somewhat less popular game that could actually do with a bit of an update rather than the popular stuff that's aged just fine. I'm looking at you, Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space. Meanwhile, Dino Crisis fans have to make do with GOG polishing up the PC versions, and the lone Nocturne fan cries in the corner because he can't even get that much. It's me. I'm the lone Nocturne fan. The only thing better than Second Story R's gameplay tuning is the glow up its presentation got. I don't think it's controversial to say that they struck gold with Octopath Traveler's visual design, merging the best of both worlds with gorgeous pixel art for the characters and lush 3D environments. It's practically a no-brainer to take an actual PS1 game and give it a similar treatment. Well, it's a no-brainer when the company isn't named Square Enix. Weathering a blow to their ego as big as the Way of the Samurai guys are better at giving our fans what they want than we are, and embracing the surprise success feels almost out of character for them. But hey, I'm not complaining. Well, not about this. From the colorful overworld and its lovely, lovely water, to the delightful visual chaos during combat, it's hard to think of a point where Second Story R doesn't look fantastic. This will likely make me sound like an easily amused fool who could probably be distracted by jingling keys, because I am, but the borderline sensory overload of the more chaotic encounters was enthralling on a primal level. There is a slight issue with the fact that all those numbers, spells, and attack effects competing for screen space can make it hard to see when the enemy's about to attack if you're fighting near the top of the screen. The sheer chaos of it all makes it totally worth it if you ask me. Then we have the character portraits and the detail on those babies. Leagues better than the over-designed mobile gacha game look the portraits in First Departure R had. And it's a good thing that they are so much better, because unlike with First Departure R, you can't swap the portrait art outside of the status screen, unless I missed something obvious. And it is me that we're talking about, so that's a distinct possibility.
Such are the advantages of a one-digit IQ.
These lovely designs come to us from Yukihiro Kajimoto, who already has some experience with the series, having worked on the mobile games Star Ocean and Amnesis, making my earlier crack about gacha game art rather ironic, and the, as of this video, newest game in the series, The Divine Force, alongside legendary Capcom artist Aki-Man Akira Yasuda. And personally, I fully support Kajimoto being made the go-to character designer for the series. He took the... well, I've seen far worse, designs of the original Second Story portraits and brought them up to the quality level of the sprites. Not to mention how they just radiate personality. Look at that smug smile on Priestess and tell me that doesn't scream annoying little sister. Or maybe I just have an exceptionally smug little sister? Questions for later. And those sprites. Those precious, adorable sprites. Don't you just want to hug them and squeeze them and pet them and name them George? Who's the cutest little engines of death? You are? Yes, you are. Yeah, I'm a cat person. Why do you ask? The only time the design stumbles a bit is when two sprites have to directly interact in a cutscene, which is one of those things I don't generally fuss too much about with older games, but when contrasted with the updated visuals everywhere else, it does become a lot more noticeable. At the same time, that I'm splitting hairs here to find something to criticize about the visual design says a lot about how great of a job they did. Something similar can be said about the soundtrack. As it is, Star Ocean 2 already had an excellent and widely beloved soundtrack composed by Motoi Sakuraba, a man so committed to providing great music that even garbage like Ernest Evans has an OST worth checking out. Seriously, the Mega CD version has the kind of frenetic energy that would be right at home in a Falcom game. So the very notion of a rearranged version of this soundtrack is a risky one. You'd need someone of incredible skill to handle it, one who has worked on a ton of big hits. I'm talking Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Golden Sun, your favorite Tales game, Baten Kaitos, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. Alright, Sakuraba did all of those too. Yeah, let's just get him to do it again. And the end result is undeniable proof that Motoi Sakuraba still has it. If it ever left in the first place, that is. Taking full advantage of not needing to worry about limited CD space this time around, Sakuraba styles on everyone's balls with a soundtrack that's just as great as, if not even better at times, than the original arrangement. Though really there's no wrong answer here. They're both superb, and as someone who's wholly unqualified to critique music in general, much less the subtle, minute differences here, I'll leave it at that and move on to the voice acting.
Hey, wait!
While those lucky ducks in Japan got both the PSP voice track and a brand new one recorded with as many of the original second story cast as they could get, those of us in the Anglosphere are stuck with the PSP dub as the sole English track. And I mean, it's not bad, but it is an English dub from the mid to late 2000s. With all the good...
I said you have to take responsibility for this. Look at me, I'm permanently disfigured.
And bad.
Rena, I wasn't expecting you two to be back so early. Just in time, though. I was just finishing up everything.
That entails. Now I want to note that despite my joking at his expense, Spike Spencer does a fine job as Claude.
Well, how can I put it? It's really far away from here. Really far away. Probably.
It's just that he has such a distinct voice, and Evangelion is so foundational to my anime fandom that I'm looking at Claude C. Kenny, but all I can hear is Shinji Ikari.
How can you do this to me? I thought you didn't want me!
Which feels extra strange as the two are almost nothing alike in personality. The real standout though is Eden Regal, under the pseudonym Claudia Lenz because this was probably a non-union gig, as Rena.
I'm not going with you because I want to leave my village. I'm going because one day, I will come back here again.
She really captures Rena's personality in a way a lot of the other English voice actors seem to be having a much harder time with when it comes to their own characters.
You're coming along even if I have to drag you the whole way, Celine. If we don't go now, you're definitely going to regret it. I don't want to see that happen to you.
Which makes it all the more impressive that she'd only had a handful of voice acting roles prior to this, with most of her work up to that point being live-action roles. And if you've ever watched an animated film with a celebrity cast, you know that it's a different skill set. I think the rest of the main cast do a decent to good job too for the most part. Kyle Hebert does feel a bit miscast as Diaz, but that's not really on his performance.
It's nothing. She was just in the right place at the right time. Nothing to get jealous over, Claude.
I simply find Hebert's voice to be too warm to play an edgy loner type like Diaz. Then again, I don't like Diaz in general, even after his character development, so I'm not exactly impartial here. He could have had the best voice acting in the game, and there's a good chance I'd still be complaining.
You didn't have to rile them up like that, Diaz.
I'm just stating the obvious. They got angry because I nailed it on the head.
The real problem with this dub is that it was either done in a hurry or had poor direction. Thing is, Richard Epcar was the voice director, and he strikes me as someone with enough experience that he'd know what he was doing, so my gut instinct has me lean towards it being a rush job. For one, the sheer amount of times Epcar shows up as a background character.
Ugh. Rena, why are you here? You think I'm actually gonna believe that, kid? Stop right there.
We are facing the greatest crisis in the history of Mars.
Let's settle this once and for all. but there's no chance whatsoever of it actually working. What are you doing here? Welcome to the Frontline Base HQ.
It's usually not the best sign when your voice director with the very notable voice has to pull double duty as an extra so many times.
Seems lazy, doesn't it? Well, there's only so many voices in the world. Some of them are bound to be similar.
Overall, I don't hate this dub, but I do kinda wish Square had spent the extra money on a new English voice track as well.
You'll never get a cent out of me!
At last we come to the story, and man is it strange to say that the weakest part of an RPG is its story. The first half is mostly composed of the party being sidetracked over and over again on their way to L in classic adventure fashion, though sometimes it seriously reaches for an excuse to distract the party, like when everyone except Claude completely forgets about their quest because there's a big tournament going on.
Yeah, that's fine and all, but can't you guys save that for later? We've got business to take care of.
What?
Ladies, I love a tournament arc as much as the next man, but priorities. It lacks the sense of natural progression games with similar story structures like Grandia have. Though I will give Star Ocean 2 credit that the obligatory tonal shift on the second disc didn't give me nearly as much whiplash as it did in Grandia. We'll get to that in a second, but first I wanted to talk about your party members.
Come on, why can't I go too? We're friends, aren't we?
Whoa, since when were we friends?
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine.
The party and their various interactions are the big saving grace of Star Ocean 2's writing. In a creative choice, Claude and Rena are the only required characters in the entire game. The other 11, 10 in the original, potential party members are all optional. Theoretically, you could even beat the game with just Claude and Rena. Not that I'm brave enough to attempt it. And where games with similar ideas like Suikoden have so many optional characters to recruit that it often comes at the expense of deeper characterization, Star Ocean as a series, not just Star Ocean 2, avoids this with its private action system. With the press of a button, you can have your party split up to go do their own thing whenever you're in a town. If you've met the right conditions, this can trigger special events with them and your chosen protagonist, which have the potential to increase or decrease their friendship levels. Get it high enough between two characters and you can unlock a special paired ending for them. Let the shipping wars commence! And as if the 99 potential character endings weren't enough incentive for multiple playthroughs, you also have the fact that your party size maxes out at 8, as well as multiple recruits being mutually exclusive, something I didn't learn until I'd already recruited Ashton, which locked me out of recruiting Opera and by extension Ernest. So I have to choose between the endearing constantly put upon comic relief or the refined lady with the BFG? Well played, Tri-Ace. Well played. Getting to know these characters and growing attached to them does most of the heavy lifting when it comes to getting me to care about the main story. Which is good because the writing really takes a nosedive in the second half. We're heading into spoiler territory now, so if you want to avoid them, skip ahead to my conclusion here. At first, the game seems to be headed for a climactic showdown with Sin, the leader of the army of monsters who have overrun L and plan to do the same to the rest of the world, including a darkly amusing moment where he completely shit-stomps the Kingdom of Liqueur after they put all their eggs in one basket with a magic cannon.
Nice try, jackass. Next time, give it your A-game.
It's cool, everybody. Their king gave me a real, I'm gonna take over the world after this vibe. But once you do defeat Sin, the real villains quickly make themselves known. They are the 10 Wise Men, ancient, all-powerful beings from the planet Need who have escaped their temporal prison and are now intent on taking over the universe. But to do that, they first have to return to their homeworld, which has long since been hidden away behind a massive energy. In order to bypass that little issue, they've used the Sorcery Globe, which is in truth part of a Needian superweapon, to force expel on a collision course with the energy barrier. At the moment right before impact, they'll be close enough to teleport themselves directly to the planet. Far too powerful for our heroes to stop, and with Claude having left his communicator behind in the dungeon to prevent his father, who was finally able to locate Claude, from beaming him back to the ship, things are looking bleak. But then Expel crashes into the barrier and is annihilated.
The end.
Our party are the only ones spared this fate as they wound up caught in the 10 Wise Men's transporter beam. Though fortunately, they wound up being spat out on the other side of the planet and soon meet up with Null, the mayor of the very Art Deco-y Centropolis. He catches the party up on, well, a lot of things. This man will info dump at a moment's notice. The most important bit is that the planet of Need doesn't actually exist anymore, and what they're standing on is an artificial recreation called Energy Need, which was built atop an asteroid following a costly war with the 10 Wise Men in the super distant past. There, I just saved you 5 minutes of back and forth conversation that can be summed up as, and that brings us to the proper noun. The proper noun? Yes, the proper noun. A noun which, to some, is seen as proper. Ah, so that's the proper noun. Repeat ad nauseum until you're headbutting your desk in frustration at the game over-explaining every single detail.
There you are. Let's go on inside.
Wait, what's the sealed door?
It's just what it sounds like. A door built to seal off a certain place.
You're kind of an idiot, aren't you?
Please, for the love of all that's holy, tell me that this is a translation issue. Because the amount of repetitive dialogue is starting to give me flashbacks to Captain Archer's "We should have a prime directive," which primes us in a direct way so that we know how not to fuck up. Right, Trip? Not helping matters is how bereft of story the second half of Star Ocean 2 is. Once you've obtained the game's equivalent of an airship, which looks like a freaky cybernetic monstrosity but is apparently a normal animal called a Synard, sigh. The goal simply becomes to hit up 4 different dungeons to collect orbs that will supposedly help the party against the 10 Wise Men with very little in the way of story to break it up. Then that fails because we need to kill off one of the main characters from the first game for shock value, I guess. And afterwards we're right back to dungeon crawling for material to make the super special awesome weapon which can actually hurt the 10 Wise Men. Despite the impending doom of the universe, it was apparently too dangerous and forbidden to risk using it the first time. But now that we're in the exact same amount of danger, it's cool. Yep, totally doesn't feel like an excuse to pad the game out a bit more. The one big reveal we get is that Rena is a Needian from the distant past who was transported across time and space to Expel when she was a toddler by her mom, right before the facility her mom was working in went up in flames. Unlike most of the reveals, this one was properly foreshadowed, with people noting that Rena's healing magic broke the rules of symbology magic on Expel, and how her pendant turned out to be a Needian artifact. Also, she has pointy elf ears like all the Needians. That was sort of a dead giveaway. Hell, it's only right before your final fight with them that you learn most of the 10 Wise Men's names. For some reason, they're all named after Abrahamic angels. Even stranger is that the one called Metatron, who is typically portrayed as being pretty high on the angelic hierarchy.
Metatron acts as the voice of God. Any documented occasion when some Yahoo claims that God has spoken to them, they're speaking to me. Or they're talking to themselves.
Is this RoboCop wannabe at the bottom of the pecking order of the 10 Wise Men, and one of the first to get killed. For all the danger they pose, these dorks have about as much character depth and presence as your average early Fist of the North Star villain. I mean, besides Mr. Hart, you know that. The only ones who get any sort of extended characterization are their leader Gabriel and his second-in-command Lucifer. Try to hold in your surprise when I tell you that Lucifer plans on betraying Gabriel and set the other 10 Wise Men up to be killed by the party so that he could rule alone.
Oh, wow, Mr. Sarcasm, yeah,
Gabriel, meanwhile, has your stereotypical console RPG villain crash out and decides that if he can't rule over it, he'll annihilate the universe instead. And with the threadbare characterization of the other 10 Wise Men, that actually counts as development in my opinion. Though you still don't get any sort of backstory or Freudian excuse as to why they were doing this in the first place. Well, not unless you want to fight an uber-charged Gabriel so powerful that even a max-level party can have trouble with him. I'm thinking... Fuck it. In order to even trigger this sequence of events in the first place, you need to see this easily missed private action early on where a crazy lady warns about an impending disaster. Then beat the game as usual, load your completed save data, and double all the way back to Centropolis to find the crazy lady here of all places.
My father's name is Lantis, the leading authority in the field of symbol technology. By the same token, he is also the creator of the 10 Wise Men.
He created the 10 Wise Men? Whoa! What was that?
My father. He was in a deep sleep, but now he has awakened. I have been programmed to make it impossible to take my own life. So please, kill me before my father fully regains consciousness.
Instead, your chosen protagonist hesitates just long enough for Daddy Dearest to come knocking and either kill her himself for betraying him or absorb her into his own consciousness. It was a little vague. Either way, she's dead, now you gotta deal with a pissed off Gabriel who's several magnitudes more powerful now. So you're gonna wanna go grind at the Maze of Tribulations located in the now accessible VR Expel. It sounds like I'm making shit up, but I swear I'm not. You can also go digging up the secret history of Need for added background info, but I forgot to do so both times. It doesn't make much of a difference on the ending anyways. The dialogue with Gabriel changes a bit, and he stomps a mud hole in you multiple times before you luck out, but in every version he still buys enough time for the sorcery globe, or as it's known by this point,
the symbol of annihilation.
Calling that as a name for my metal band, to charge up enough power to eradicate all of existence, forcing Mayor Null's hand as he enacts a plan to redirect all of the destructive force towards Energy Need, while using what little energy is left on the planet to pull Expel from the point in time right before it impacted Energy Need's barrier into the present, and then teleport the party back there. Feels like that would have catastrophic effects on the space-time continuum, but okay. It's rare a game makes you work so hard for what amounts to some slight dialogue changes without any meaningful alterations to the ending. I mean, I put all that work in and I still don't get some Deus Ex Machina that lets me save both worlds? All of that was seriously just to learn backstory which should have been present in the main story to begin with? And yet, here I am, starting a new game plus. Star Ocean: The Second Story R is simply a masterclass in how to take an old game and make it like new again. Everything added, changed, or tweaked was done with the singular intent of getting the player to the fun as fast as possible, and in so doing makes every great aspect of Star Ocean 2 shine far brighter. Combat is a blast, leveling is satisfying as all hell, the music is amazing, the visual design is... hang on, let me check a thesaurus. Ah, that works. The visual design is splendiferous. Party members not named Diaz are entertaining and memorable with plenty of fun interactions. Really, if it weren't for the just passable English dub and the unimpressive story, I'd have nothing but praise for this game. As it is, I still found it to be some of the most fun I have had with a console RPG in quite a while and think it's 110% worth your time. Currently, it's available on Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC, which is the version I played for this video, at $50, though I've frequently seen it discounted on PC, and I imagine the same is true of the console versions if that price is too steep for you.
Damn, I'm good!
That'll do it for this one. Next time, we'll be entering the spooky season again, and you know what, screw it, let's talk about Nocturne.
The world is a dark place.
Who will protect the world from darkness?
We will, after we play our stupid games.
I'm so fucked up.